In this video, we're going to go over section 3.1 from your textbook, which is called A History of Probability. This section should be really easy. It's very short, and maybe it'll be kind of fun. Alright, so we're going to talk about different games that inspired the discovery or the exploration of probability theory. When the Monte Carlo Casino opened in 1863, roulette was its most popular game. It's one of the oldest casino games that's still being played, and it's popular due to two factors. The rules are simple, and you can easily play after watching someone else play for a few minutes. Alright, so it's pretty easy to play. You don't play against another person who could possibly cheat you, or maybe they're more experienced and they can outplay you. So you're not playing one-on-one against another person. You seem to play against a wheel that can't cheat, but in actuality, you're really playing against the casino, and the way that the odds are set is so that the casino will make money and that on average the player will lose money. This is a roulette wheel, so the dealer will spin this wheel and then drop in a ball. You can see the little slots. Let me point to them. The little slots right here, all around the game board, or all around the wheel. The ball is going to fall into one of those slots, and whatever your bet was, if the ball falls into that slot, you may win or maybe you lose. Alright, so let's look at what it looks like from your end, from the player's end. This is a roulette board. This is where you'll put your little casino chip down and place your bet. The American roulette wheel has 38 numbered compartments around its circumference. 36 of these are numbered 1 to 36 and are colored red to black. And then the remaining two, you can see those are at the top up here. The remaining two are green and are numbered 0 and 00. Some casinos that you go, they may only have just 1 0, and some places may have it separated like this with the 0 and the 00. So players place your bets by putting the chips on the appropriate spot on the roulette table. For example, if you wanted to bet, here's all the options for your bets. Alright, I'm about to draw the arrow so that you can see where I'm pointing, or where I'm talking about. Here's all your options for your bets. You can bet on a single number. Alright, so if you betted on a single number, you would just place your little chip onto the number that you're betting on. So for example, if you were betting on the number 5, you would just put your chip right on top of the number 5 here. We'll cover it up with that chip. Alright, if you're betting on 2 numbers, that's called a split. You would put your chip on the line in between those 2 numbers. If you're betting on 3 numbers, which is called a street, you would put your chip at the very end of that line. So for example, if you're betting on the line 1, 2, 3, you would put it at the very end down here, kind of halfway onto 1. If you're betting on 4 numbers, that's called a square. You put your chip in the center of those 4 numbers. So for example, if you're betting on the square 20, 21, 23, 24, you would put your chip right in the middle of these 4 numbers. Here we have 2 bets that are called the same thing. We have a 5-number line and a 6-number line. If they do this on your homework, they'll always be sure to specify, like, this is a 5-number line or a 6-number line. I'm not sure about where you put the chips on those. For the 12 numbers, that's where you're betting on an entire column or a section. You can see as we go through this list, the house odds are going down. That means that you are going to make less money off of the bets that are at the bottom of this list. Alright, but if you're making a bet on 12 numbers, which is a column or a section, you're just going to put your little chip onto one of these blocks here. You can see you have first 12, second 12, third 12. If you're betting on the lows or the highs, 1 to 18 or 19 to 36, you can see There's the spots there. There's 19 to 36. And then at the top, you have 1 to 18. And then even and odd, once again, that's right under 1 to 18 and right above 19 to 36. And then you can bet on red or bet on black, and that's right there in the middle. So right here, you would put your little chip on whatever color you wanted to bet on. So that's going to say, no matter what number it is, let's say you bet on red. No matter what number it is, if it lands on a red number, then you win. All right, but let's talk about how you figure out how much money you're going to win back. All right, so the dealer's going to spin the wheel and then drop the ball into the spinning wheel. The ball will eventually come to rest in one of the compartments, and that compartment's number is the winning number. So then the dealer will look and they will determine if the number is even or odd. So let's say that you bet on the evens, and maybe it lands on 36. Then you win, because 36 is an even number. So the dealer will look and they'll determine all the characteristics of the number, if it's low or high, if it's red or black, if it's in the first, if it's in the first 18 or the last 18, and then they will determine who the winners are. All right, so again, let's talk about how you make money. Let's say that you wanted to bet $10 in a compartment. Oh, let me start again. If a player wanted to bet $10 that the ball lands in compartment number 7, she would place $10 worth of chips on the number 7 on the roulette table. All right, so there's my little chip. I put it on the 7. Now the dealer is going to spin the wheel. This is a single number bet, so the house odds are 35 to 1. That means there's a 35 to 1 chance that I lose. So 35 times I'm going to lose, 1 time I'm going to win. If the ball lands on 7, she gets to keep her $10 and she wins. Okay, remember we bet $10. We bet $10 and the house odds are 35 to 1. So you do $10 times 35. So whatever your bet was times whatever that first number in the house odds are. So 10 times 35, so she wins $350. So if the ball lands on 7, you win $350. If the ball does not land on 7, you only lose your $10. So you're only out as much as you put in. So that's another reason that I think roulette is a popular game. You really make the decision on how much money you're going to lose. So if you only want to, say you're only comfortable losing $5, you only have to put $5 down. If a player wanted to bet $5 that the ball lands on either 13 or 14, they would put $5 worth of chips on the line separating 13 and 14 on the roulette table. All right, so I've put my little chip down on the line in between 13 and 14. The dealer spins the wheel. This is a 2-number bet or a split. So the house odds are 17 to 1. If the ball lands on either 13 or 14, the player gets to keep his $5 and he's going to win $5 times 17, which is $85. If the ball does not land on 13 or 14, he only loses his $5. All right, we're going to come back and do one more roulette example, but I need to talk about dice and craps, and then I need to talk about cards, and then we'll come back to roulette. The oldest known dice are 5,000 years old. They were found in an excavation in Iran, and dice are mentioned in some ancient Hebrew books as well as in the Bible, and they were common during King David's reign. So pretty interesting facts about diamonds. Dice are sometimes called bones because the earliest dice were made from a particular animal bone. It's like the joint of a animal bone that looked somewhat like a cube. And you can Google, they actually have some really old dice that are made out of bones. If you search like dice made from bones, you can find some kind of interesting historic dice online. A modern die, which is the singular of the word dice, is a cube, which means it has 6 sides. And each side is going to have a certain number of dots on it. So it's either going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 dots on it. And we're not going to do any dice problems in this section, but we are going to come back to dice. So I just wanted to mention dice so that you are familiar. If you don't play with dice, if you have never played with dice, now you know sort of some characteristics of a die. And then lastly, we have cards. We have a couple of card questions in the homework. It says cards were invented in the 9th century in China during the Crusades. Arabs endured lengthy sieges by playing card games, and during that time the Europeans acquired the cards and then introduced them to their homeland. So they took them back home and started playing cards in Europe. A modern deck of cards contains 52 cards, which means there are 13 in each of the 4 suits. So the 4 suits are hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. Hearts and diamonds are red, clubs and spades are black. Alright, so this is going to be important, so very important to note here. In a modern deck of cards, there are 13 in each of the 4 suits. So there's 13 hearts, there's 13 diamonds, 13 clubs, and 13 spades. And notice that half of the cards are red and half of the cards are black. That'll also be important. Alright, and then lastly, if you don't play cards, these are just some characteristics of cards. Each suit consists of cards labeled 2 through 10. And then you have a jack card, a queen card, a king card, and an ace. Face cards are the jack, king, and queen. They have faces on them. And then picture cards are the jack, queen, king, and ace. Alright, so sometimes, I'm not sure if they'll do any in the questions that we have on WebAssign, but on some of the problems in your book, they call certain cards face cards and certain cards picture cards. So now you know what those are referring to. Let's look at an example with cards. This is straight off your homework, section 3.1 homework, problem number 5. Notice that there's one word here in red. That word may be different on your homework. Alright, so mine says a modern deck of cards contains 52 cards. How many clubs are there in a deck of cards? And then what fraction of a deck is clubs? Alright, so instead of clubs, you might have hearts or diamonds or spades. Alright, so you're going to have one of the 4 suits there. We just learned that there are 52 cards in the deck. There's 4 suits, which means there's 13 of each suit. So that means, that means there are 13 clubs in a deck of cards. And then it says, what fraction of a deck is clubs? This is really easy. You just take the 2 numbers that you have here, 13 and 52, and you're going to make a fraction out of that. So 13 out of the 52 cards are clubs. This is the last problem we're going to go through on this video. If you would like to see more examples of roulette problems worked out, you can check out the section on D2L that says extra resources for Unit 3. I'm going to upload some extra problems that I've worked through there. So on problem number 4, mine says you bet $30 on the 13 through 24 section. So your bet may be different than mine, but you will still have the same section, 13 through 24. Alright, so mine is betting $30 on the 13 through 24 section. So I'm going to put my number down. That's a 12 number column or section. So I'm putting my chip down on the second 12. Alright, so notice that the house odds here are 2 to 1. So you're not going to win a whole bunch of money, but you have a pretty good chance of winning. Alright, so Part A says your ball or the ball lands on number 29. All right, so let's look at our section 13 through 24. So 29 is not in that section. So you're going to click on the little drop down menu that says you select. So you're going to click on that little arrow. You're going to select either win or lose. All right, so since 29 is not in that section, we lose. And we only lose, remember, we only lose as much as we put in. So we only lose $30. Part B says the ball lands on number 15. Well, 15 is in our section. It's in between 13 and 24. So on our little drop-down menu, we're going to select Win. And now let's figure out how much we've won. We're going to do our bet, $30 times the house odds. So $30 times 2 is $60. So we win $60. Alright, that's it for this video. If you have any other questions, make sure you email me at jberry@gmail or at ccga.edu.